And so that's what I think the point of the middle is.
Yeah.
Is for you to be in a sucky situation, to be in whatever you call adversity or trial, but to be able to discover the beauty and discover yourself wrapped in that situation.
Hey, yo. Pimpin' on the east side. I know this a West Coast beat, but it's a freestyle. I've been kinda stressed and I freaked out. Good thing I got a brain that could reroute. That shit ain't got nothing to do with me.
So I want to talk a little bit about, so today's conversation, right, we're talking about, in my mind, right, we don't have a title for it yet, but it's about being in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like, it's a wonky place to be, right? Like between 0 and 100 is being in 50.
Right.
And, 50 ain't 0, but it ain't 100 either, right? We're talking about grading systems and arriving, what does it mean to arrive as a, creative, whatever, no matter what your creative pursuits are.
Mm-hmm.
And in talking about it, with you, when we got together, we were like, okay, like it's episode 2. Like, what do we want to talk about episode 2? The reason why we were able to come up with this was because of, a practice that I had started. It's called the Morning Pages. And I had gotten the book, The Artist's Way.
Yes.
And so in the book, she's talking about, okay, you wake up in the morning, you do your morning pages, and you have to do 3. You have to do 3 pages of your morning pages, which is you literally just writing whatever comes to you. And you got to write 3 pages worth, right? And the whole idea behind it is it's supposed to kind of like free you up creatively, right? To kind of like tackle your day. Whatever the shit is in life that you want to complain about, you complain about it on the page, then you let it go, right? So it's journaling, it's meditation, it's gratitude, like it's all those things wrapped into one because it's, whatever your spirit is feeling at the time. So I had started doing the morning pages, and like the first day I did it, I was like, "Oh, I can do it. This is easy. Yes, morning pages." And then I just got to day 3.
Right.
And I start writing, and I'm like 3 lines in, and I'm like, 2, 3, oh my God, I gotta write 2 more pages of this.
Is it done yet?
Is it done yet? And then I started having an anxiety attack about writing 3 pages that, no one has a gun to my head saying that I have to do. But just this idea of like wanting to be finished was something that I literally just started. I didn't even really take the time to like enjoy what I was doing while I was in process. I was very much just like, when am I going to get to the 3rd page, right? And so it really got me thinking about how a lot of times, right, as creatives, we struggle with the process and being in process. We struggle with the journey, right, because we have a very particular destination in mind, right?
Yes.
Destinations in mind. And we just end up, in some ways, we end up not recognizing that journey, that in-between stage is not only inevitable, but it is a vital part of our growth.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, it really, I find that being so focused on the destination or the end goal robs me of all the nuanced tidbits of the process, of the practice, of the journey, all the things that need to be soaked in terms of knowledge, in terms of experience, that refining of a process, because we can all look at and admire a finished product like, oh my gosh, these pants are so, these are so great. I mean, they fit me the way they need to fit, like, but nobody's usually thinking about who took the time to put the pants together. And the fabric they may have wasted because, you know, they didn't measure. They were, you know, and I just got to finish these pants. I just want to get these out. And it's just like, you can rush out a thing. You can arrive at a place, but if you're not really mindful of the steps that you take to get there, you may arrive at a place that you don't actually want to be. You know, it's just like I actually, or you arrive at the place and it's like I don't really even remember kind of what steps I took to get here. Like I'm here, I made it. It doesn't feel particularly good, or I didn't really appreciate those baby steps or the hurdles even that I had to overcome, or the things that I had to learn in order to, you know, overcome to arrive where I wanted to arrive.
And not being present in that moment also tends to like put us in a place where we have to repeat the lesson.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's like I'm here again. What am I missing?
Yeah. And then it's, you know, it takes us, let's say, you know, you're in a position where you're in the middle, right? When it comes to a particular thing that you're trying to do. And let's say it takes you like a year to figure it out, right? And then you find yourself in that kind of like that same place again, but maybe with a different project. And because you didn't pay attention to that middle time, which was supposed to be for your growth and for your edification and for you to take stock, then you're in the same position again. And then you're another year trying to get out of kind of like the same predicament that you were in before versus, well, actually, I went through that already. And now I'm finna only be in this for 6 months because I had the lesson came, I learned the lesson, and I remembered the lessons that were learned. So, being in the middle is like, it's a tricky thing. Even when you talk about time, right? Like, we talk about this all the time, how we live in a day and age where we want everything to be instant, right? And even if we don't necessarily want to be instant, we kind of already have an idea in our mind of how long something is supposed to take.
Right. Yeah, which is pretty silly and futile, right? Because there's so much that's really, most things are beyond our control. You can make a plan like, okay, even today, hey, I'm gonna arrive in Jersey at 9:45 or 9:30. But, you know, other external things occur or, oh man, I misread the thing. Now I have to make an adjustment, you know, because I can only control or even influence a small sphere of things. So really being able to relinquish that idea of control and being prepared, you know, and intentional about how you approach things, but saying like, I know what I desire, but I'm want to be more intentional or mindful about the steps that I take to get what I desire, as opposed to I gotta get, you know, and thinking about the end, because there's so much that you can miss along the way by, you know, being overly concerned with how you control things.
Yeah, and how you perceive the perception of how long something is supposed to take, but also like looking at other people's victory and other people's stories and, you know, calculating their time, how much it took them. Like, that was like a huge thing for me. I would be like, how long did it take this actor to,
I just Googled people who were successful in their 40s. It keep going up each year. I'm like, okay, Barack and them is on there.
And I had a situation that happened not too long ago. I'm going to try and tell this story concisely.
Okay.
I really hope concisely is a word.
It is.
Thank you. I'm going to try and be concise with this story, but I'm going to also try to not harm anyone involved.
Yes. Names have been changed to protect the innocent. Right?
And the guilty.
And the guilty.
So I... not too long ago, was doing work at a theater. And it wasn't the work that I wanted to be doing, but it was a choice that I made to be a part of this process for connection's sake and because I was very grateful. And I didn't want to say no to the opportunity because of my ego.
Mm.
And so in the beginning, I was really, really, really excited, to be in this place that I had felt like was being gate kept from me, right? Even if it wasn't doing the thing that I wanted to do, I had some part of the process.
Right.
And so I was there, I was at this theater and I was working, and I very soon found out that even though we were telling what felt like a Black story, no one in power was really interested in the authenticity of this story, nor were they interested in honoring the Black people that the story was about. It just felt very institutional to me, and in some ways very disrespectful, the way that the story was being handled. And so I was just kind of like, in my time with God, I was just kind of like, whoa, like, what is this? Like, this is not what I kind of talked the opportunity up to be in my mind. The dream that it was for me, it was not that. And it was very frustrating, and I went through a lot of periods of like questioning, myself, questioning what it is that I'm doing, questioning a lot. I even tried to speak up about what I was feeling in a way that was, respectful and honoring to the institution, but then having my words twisted in a way that was so hurtful.
Yeah.
And I remember just being in the process of that, right? In a moment for me that felt very much in the middle, right? Like, very much like, ooh, like, 10 years ago, I couldn't even get this institution to answer an email. And now I'm here.
Right.
But it not feeling the way that I thought that it was supposed to feel. But in that moment, I was really like, okay, what's the lesson? Because it got to be something. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it's not the dream job that I thought it was going to be, there is something for me to learn and to glean from this moment. And so instead of being pissed, right, that this wasn't the moment that I thought it would be, I really had to ask Spirit, what is this season? What is this moment for? And I found through that adversity, I understood my voice in a way that I hadn't understood it before. I understood my belief system as an artist, right? Like, I don't think that I necessarily like had a mission as an artist or, what felt like anything that felt like a calling outside of just working. I was able to discover that in a very tangible way.
Wow.
And I was able to learn and tweak how to speak up in spaces who don't necessarily give a damn about your opinion. And how to do that in a way where you're not sacrificing your own peace and your own belief system just to say yes to a job.
Yeah.
And so that situation for me will go down, in the history of my own story as like adversity and trials, but like wrapped up in discovery.
Yeah, wow.
And so that's what I think the point of the middle is.
Yeah.
Is for you to be in a sucky situation, to be in whatever you call adversity or trial, but to be able to discover the beauty and discover yourself wrapped in that situation.
Yeah, I think that, thank you for sharing that. I think that's an incredible way to look at the circumstances that we find ourselves in, I think in general in life, but certainly as a creative and pursuing very specific goals and being on the journey and encountering things where it's just like, oh, this doesn't look or feel like what I wanted it to, or what I had in mind, what the dream and the grand vision was, but not allowing it to just be wasted away. It's like, oh, this is so terrible. Woe is me. What am I doing here? You could sit in that place, and I won't judge or knock anybody for feeling those feelings, because we're human. But to take the experience, to separate yourself from what you feel, and identify there's still value to be had. There are still lessons to be learned, and discovery, like you said, to be had about self, about what you value the most. And I think that's so profound. And something else that I thought about as you were speaking was, you talked about finding the beauty through this adversity. What other sorts of ways did you find pleasure in that process, right? Because you're still a professional, you're still a passionate creative and artist and storyteller. So what did you do to create pleasure, or was that like a challenge while you were dealing with sort of the other institutional mess?
Yeah, I think, and this is something that I've like started to do more often, is leaning into people, leaning into your community. The thing that I used to do when I felt myself in the middle, right, of a process where I was neither, where I started or where I wanted to finish, I used to retreat from people, right? Because I would be like, oh, like, I'm not the thing that I've been telling people that I'm going to be, so I don't deserve, you know what I'm saying? I don't deserve friendship, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I used to retreat, and I don't do that anymore. Now I lean deeper into those connections, because those are the things that make life worthwhile. And so during that process, I had somebody that was in the trenches with me who felt the same way I felt. So when it was time for me to talk my shit, I had somebody to talk my shit with, but not even just that person, right? There were so many beautiful people who were a part of that process who, regardless of my thoughts about the institutional stuff, right? They were great people that I had experienced joy with, cracked jokes with. And then there was the work, right? The work of being an actor in this process, and, being able to kind of like temporarily ignore that part and just doing things for the joy of doing it. Because I'm telling you, there's nothing more for me. There is nothing that brings me more joy than being on a stage, having a script in my hand. And so being able to still do the work that I love to do, regardless of all that other stuff, that is what brought me, joy. And that was my escape, even though I was in the middle of the bullshit. So,
That's super real. That's super real. I think, a lot of times, as we're talking about, the external factors can sway or deter us. And I think it's so important for individuals to be able to derive pleasure and satisfaction from the pursuit itself. The destination is going to be what the destination is. Even if it varies from what you had in mind, and oftentimes it will be. You get to a place, it's like, wow, this is this is better than what I was imagining.
So how are things for you? Because you're, artistic medium, well, one of them, you're a poet, right? And so how is that for you, like doing poetry, but like being in process? Because I'm sure sometimes a poem comes to you and it's like, it's a masterpiece, right out your mouth, you know what I'm saying, right off the page. But sometimes you may have to go back, or maybe there's some things that you don't like about it that you feel like you have to tweak, that you may feel like you have to tweak. And so, like, do you enjoy that process, or do you really have to kind of like hack your brain to try and to find joy in that?
That's a good question. It's a back and forth sometimes. Sometimes it feels very, very easy, like that flow and synchronicity of ideas and thought and inspiration. It just comes together without little to any effort, it feels like, which I'm always appreciative of. And then other times it's bits and pieces. I'm getting like scattered kind of downloads of things, or I'm meditating kind of on one line or one thought, and I might just be doing that for like a few weeks or a few months or longer. Like I'll just be thinking about like something I saw, back in November, and it's like still sitting with me, like this person I saw on the street, on the corner, talking to themselves, and I don't know exactly where I want to take it, but I know there's a nugget of something that is interesting to me. And so allowing myself to be okay with just the analysis, with just the reflection. I don't have to make this anything. Maybe it won't be anything, but allowing myself to be okay with the reflection. Like I'm actually enjoying thinking about my experience as a human, the experience of those that I don't know, but that I'm just passing on the street day to day. Where do our stories intersect? Where do they diverge? I enjoy that. So over time, and with practicing things like meditation, has really allowed me to have that kind of presence in process. So I'm not thinking about, oh, I have to write this finished poem, or I have to perform this even, or I have to have anything to show. I'm gonna go inward. I'm gonna allow myself that time. Creating art is so playful to me, or can be so playful. So allowing myself to have that time to just play. I'm gonna jot some things down, and I might finish and be like, okay, I don't really like this, but I got it out, right? It's like those morning pages. Like I got out what was there, and I'm gonna look at it when it's all done, and maybe I'll just let it be. But 3 weeks from now, I might come back to it, be like, you know what, I'm gonna take this section, or I'm only gonna take these bits and pieces. But a lot of times, I'll just let the thing sort of be what it is, let it sit and sort of germinate if it needs to do that. I'm less interested in rushing out a thing, because I want it to really say what it needs to say, as opposed to, being this overly, processed thing. And sometimes, things need that time to like, maybe that final line or that final thought is gonna come at a later date.
Yeah, I love what you said when you said it doesn't have to be anything. Like when you said that, I just felt, like a spiritual weight just like lift off of me. Like it doesn't have to be anything, but also, there's almost like a knowing that maybe not that thing,
right,
but something will become something.
Yeah. It's again, for me, it's definitely a back and forth. At times, I think certain things have it's become less of a challenge as I've gotten more seasoned and experienced with certain things. But I firmly believe the artist journey is so interesting, and it looks a lot of different ways for a lot of different people. And we can have our aspirations and our desires and our goals, but at the end of the day, these things that we've been gifted, that we've been assigned, are so much greater than our comprehension. Like divinely beyond what I can even fully articulate. Some of the things that we do, it's like yes, there's a practice, there's an intention, but to even translate the experiences that we do into tangible anything is quite amazing. So
and also to like, and the opposite of that is like minimizing it to a social media post, right? It's like,
Yeah.
you know, like the artist way, you know what I'm saying, is so much greater than me saying that I'm doing something so you can think I'm doing something.
Exactly, for sure. And I've learned that I'm a vessel. So sometimes I need to be okay with, or I think overall I need to be okay with allowing myself to be the vessel. And, you know, like you said, maybe it's not that thing or this thing, but I'm gonna be used. You know, I've performed in people's weddings. You know, we've done stuff in the church. I've been on screen. You know, things that I never even expected to do. And does it all amount to success in the grand or traditional sense? Maybe not, but I've accomplished things. I've used the gifts that I've been afforded, and no matter what I've done, I haven't allowed myself to settle and be like, all right, I guess that's it. It's like still finding joy in the pursuit, and still being able to refine the craft. Like, I did things that when I was in my 20s that I didn't think I'd necessarily be able to do in my 20s, and I've done things in my 30s that I didn't expect to do, and it's a continued evolution. And I believe that I'm gonna speak for both of us. We're getting better because we're intentional, because we're thoughtful, because we care about our craft. You know, I'm willing to grow into this. You know, I'm willing to gain the rest of what there is to be gained and experience and download, and what has been designed beyond what I can see or comprehend. I'm willing to see that through.
Yeah, and everything that you're saying to me feels like gratitude, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes we can be so bratty. Like, I mean, I'll just speak for myself. Like, I can be so bratty sometimes, right? Like, oh, I didn't get to do this, or oh, I didn't get to do that. Just so complaining.
Yeah.
And I started like going through my phone just like randomly, looking at all the stuff I did in 2023. And I was like, oh my God, I did this. And I did this. And I did this. And I was in this film. And I
Stuff you done forgot.
Stuff that I done forgot. Okay.
Imagine that.
And I was just like, oh my God. Like, I was really like, oh my God, Lord, forgive me for being ungrateful and just a little brat.
Yeah.
Because even though I am in the middle, I am not in the middle and idle, right?
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
There are still things being done in me and through me. I am still accomplishing things, and my story is still being written.
Hello?
So it's just like, come on now. Like, now it's like, I think we just need to get better with clocking things.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It's like, nah, like, I did a lot. Actually, you guys help. I did a lot.
Yeah.
And so definitely being more grateful. I have this quote that I heard, and I wanted to make sure I grabbed it because it felt like just perfect for what we're talking about. Now, this quote is attributed to Michael Jordan. I don't know if he wrote it, but it was in like a commercial that he did back in the day.
Yeah.
And so I'm just going to read part of it because I love it so much. It says, look at me. I won't let myself end where I started. I won't let myself finish where I began. I know what is within me, even if you can't see it yet. Look me in the eyes. I have something more important than courage. I have patience. I will become what I know I am.
Damn.
Woo!
Yes.
Woo!
The word from his airness.
Okay. I have something more important than courage. I have patience. I will become what I know I am.
Yeah.
And I really think for me, that sums up this entire conversation. It's like, no matter where you are in your journey, you really have to be in your journey knowing that whatever twists and turns you go through, no matter if you're in the middle, if you're at 50, you at 75, you should continue with your intentions.
Absolutely.
Right? Continue to co-create with the creator, with spirit, with the universe, with God. And have a knowing, which is faith, that you're going to become that which you set out to become.
Yes.
And I think
Trust.
that's what can keep us sane and joyful while we're in the middle.
Yeah.
Is knowing that, yeah, okay, I'm in the middle right now, but I have a destination in mind.
Yeah.
And whether that destination comes tomorrow or 10 years from now, I'm going to make it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. It's you know, we gotta trust that.
Yeah.
Moment to moment.
Oh man, this is a dope conversation.
Yes, agreed. We always take it to where it needs to go.
Yes. Thank you, Michael Jordan, for that quote to close us out or whatever.
You know, feel free to send some production funds.
I know, right?
Our way.
Some sneaks. No. But yeah, so okay. So we're gonna go out into the world with the knowing that, you know, whatever we set out to do, we're gonna be that thing.
It's ordained.
It's done. It's written.
Yeah. You know, we have not been given what we've been given by accident. We're not here by accident. It's all on purpose. Yeah.
You there. Yes, you.
Black, white, purple, orange, cerulean.
We thank you for tuning in.
By the way, you famous yet?
'Cause we not.
We're just two creatives elevating Black expression.
If you dig that,
Follow at Black Person You Famous Yet on
Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and X.